Hello my friends, today we're going to be doing a luxury haul, but not the kind of luxury haul that you're used to. Instead of me going out to basically buy a brand new look for the holiday season, I actually shop my own collection for pieces that I haven't worn in a while, but I would like to make an effort to do so. And this is also a challenge for you guys to maybe do a little bit of digging in your own collection to see if there are any pieces that could use some love and attention. But without further ado, if you'd like to re-unbox some pieces with me from Hermes, Bottega, and even Chanel, hear my mini review on these pieces, and I am planning on making them work, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and keep on watching. So I was actually thinking about filming this video in my actual closet and just pulling out pieces with you guys, but there is not enough room for me to set up my camera and my lights, and if there are no lights, the picture is going to be super blurry, it's going to look noisy, I'm not going to have my microphone to record the audio, so I thought this might be the easiest way of doing it. But if you guys would like to do a closet clear out together and you guys don't mind the actual video itself not being the clearest, we can definitely do that later on. But anyway, I should stop rambling and start talking about the pieces that you're here for. So I pulled out a couple of blazers that I would like to make work, and to be really honest with you, the reason I haven't really worn these, well, there are two reasons. Number one is the baby. I used to be that person who dressed up to the grocery store, but not these days, just because, you know, having a little monster that I'm taking care of all day long, it's not the easiest for me to wear a blazer. It's just not the most ideal time for me to wear a blazer, but I definitely think I'm going to go back to wearing some of these blazers. I don't think I'm going to have an issue with wearing them, but they definitely need to be tweaked before I do that, because even though both of these I've had tailored before, they are far from being perfect. One of them is actually my Chanel tweed blazer, which I probably should have taken the bag out, the dry cleaning bag. I'm sorry guys, I forgot, so I hope it's not going to be super noisy over the mic. But this is one of the pieces that I would like to take more advantage of, which you might remember I do have an entire video sharing my experience of buying my first Preloved piece, which was this one. I bought this from Vestiaire. Was it last year or the year before? I honestly can't remember, but more recently I purchased this, and I think I have worn this once or twice, if that. I bought it, I had it dry cleaned, I took it to Chanel to have it retailored because it wasn't perfect the way it was. I paid for it, which all of that I documented, but even still, it's just not perfect. The shoulders are still a little bit too petted for me. I just know how I like my blazers. I know exactly how I want them to be fitted, and it might not be the style of this blazer, but if it doesn't look exactly how I want it to look, I'm just not going to wear it. So there might not be anything wrong with the style or with the Chanel tailor looked at it, they made sure that it fits the criteria of Chanel and they fitted it to perfection in their own book. To me, there is a lot more that needs to be done. So I want to have the shoulders taken in a little bit more. I want more padding to be taken out. And then I also want the blazer to be a little bit shorter. Basically, I want a brand new blazer. So I do want the blazer to be a little bit shorter. It does have these two pockets, which I think stopped the tailor from making it shorter for me. But I might just actually have the pockets removed completely and make it into a super simple, clean cut, streamlined blazer. That's what I might do, but I won't be able to do that through Chanel. So I have to find my own tailor to do it, which when you find a good tailor, hold on to them, because it is like finding a true gem. I think, honestly, if I could, I would have my underwear tailored, because I think just having a good tailor can make anything and everything look like $1,000,000, which I don't currently have. I'm currently trying a few different tailors, so we'll see how we get on with that, but this is definitely something that I would like to wear because I definitely have not got my money's worth out of it. And there's nothing wrong with this blazer. I love the fabric, I do like the cut, but there are some things that just need to be tweaked before I can fully start enjoying. And speaking of blazers, here's another black blazer. Surprise, surprise, most pieces are going to be. Actually, no, that's not true. We only have two black pieces, so hopefully the rest you're actually going to be able to see on camera, because it's so hard to film black pieces and show all the details. So I promise you, actually I didn't realize, but this might be the last black ready-to-wear piece. Of course, when we go on to talking about bags and accessories, we'll have more black pieces to come. But in terms of ready-to-wear, this is going to be the last black blazer that you're going to see in today's video, which is this piece from Tom Ford, and it's their classic, iconic velvet tuxedo blazer, which I actually used to wear as a jacket. I've never worn this as an actual blazer, and the reason for that is that this piece is just a little bit too long for me. Surprisingly, the shoulders work quite well. I always have issues with the shoulders because I hate an over padded shoulder, but Tom Ford's padding is just perfection. It's never under or over padded. It just gives you the perfect shape with the amount of padding that they have in here. But this blazer is just a little bit too long for me, so I can wear it as a jacket, but I cannot really wear it as a blazer. It just doesn't look the most flattering, and while I wouldn't want it to be cropped, I definitely need to make it just a tiny bit shorter. So as soon as I find a good tailor that I can trust with this piece, because I have to be honest, this might be one of the most expensive ready-to-wear pieces that I have ever bought. So as soon as I find someone that I can trust, or I have the time to take it back to Tom Ford, it is something that is going to be cropped just a tiny bit. Switching gears here, well, to be honest, we're switching highways, not just gears, because we're going from tuxedo blazers to sweatsuits. This was I think the first sweat set that I ever bought, which is actually from Hermes. This I bought again a couple of years ago. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before. Since 2020, everything has just blended into one, so please don't quiz me on time frames. But it was a more recent purchase, and it's not something that I wore for the longest time, but I did pull it out recently after having it tailored twice, which is going to be my Hermes sweatsuit. And I did actually wear it recently to the gym, which I shared in a reel, and I have worn it a couple more times since. It is this navy sweatsuit with a really cool black line running down one of the sides, and then I also have the matching sweater, which has this really cool sleeve detail. It has the exact same black panel running down the sleeve, and if you look from the far, you can see that the panel is cut in the middle. There's a little gap, so it basically creates an H, but it's so subtle that you would never know unless you were really familiar with Hermes like you guys. So this is something that I bought, but unfortunately Hermes doesn't really know how to do sweatsuits. They do a lot of things beautifully. Sweatsuits and activewear is just really not their forte. This is something that I've had tailored, I think 3 times at this point. So I had it tailored once by the Hermes tailor when I first bought it. I wasn't happy with the results, so I took it to another tailor. I still wasn't perfectly happy, and then I, for the 3rd time, basically had this completely redone. So I had the sweater, they had them make it a little bit more cropped for me. I also had them make it more fitted, which, to be honest, is my fault, because I think I bought this. Yeah, I bought the sweater in a large when I could have easily gone for a small in this, but I wanted it to feel a little bit more oversized, but it just didn't look good oversized because the fabric is quite heavy. It doesn't have a nice full or a nice drape to it, so it didn't look great as an oversized fit. So I had to completely redo this. I had them, I think, make the sleeve shorter. They definitely made the overall length of the sweater shorter, and then I also had them put like a little band on the pants. It was just a completely straight cut pair of bands, but I had them put an elastic band on both of the hems for me, just so they're a little bit more gathered. They have a nicer shape to them when I actually wear them, and they're still not perfect. So I pretty much spent like a couple $1,000 on this sweat set at this point, just buying them and then having them tailored over and over again, and they're still not great. So I would much rather buy something from Lululemon or even H&M than going back to Hermes for another sweatsuit, even though it's something that they continue making. The cuts, the fits, the silhouettes are just not there. You know what these kind of remind me of? The overall shapes. If you watch Grace and Frankie, you might be familiar with that scene when Grace and Frankie moves into the retirement home and they have their complete wardrobe redone. That's how I felt. I felt like I was moving into a retirement home when I first bought these in terms of the silhouette. And don't get me wrong, the quality is beautiful. They are super soft. They are super cozy. I love the feel of them, but the way they're fitted, it's just simply not it, especially not for the price. I mean, for this kind of money, you would expect it to be perfection, and it's far from that. Or it might be just me, I might be too picky, but I really wouldn't recommend that you go to Hermes for your more casual pieces. They know how to do a lot of things well, but these are not one of them. Well, I have to say that they do actually have a sweat set for women, which I've tried. They've been doing those for years, which have the H woven into the fabric. So I do have to correct myself because those I really like. I wish I could make them work, but they're incredibly cropped because obviously they are in their women's line. So they're not my silhouette, but if you can make those work, if you don't mind the sweaters being a little bit more cropped and incredibly tight, that is definitely something good to go for. But I'm going to correct myself when it comes to their men's collection. Sweat sets are not something that, in my opinion, you should spend your hard-earned money on. And last but not least, we have two more pieces of ready-to-wear, and then we're going to move on to some jewelry and bags. And this next piece I actually bought earlier this year from one of my favorite boutiques in Rotterdam, actually. So if you're into Celine, Bottega, they have the most amazing curation of these younger brands. If you're into any one of those brands, I'll make sure to have their Instagram link down below because I don't believe that they sell online, but this is something that I picked up, as I said, a few months ago, and I've only ever worn this once, which I think is because this color is quite hard for me to pull off. It's this oversized cotton shirt from Bottega that is super simple. It's all in details. I love how the little buttons are attached. I love how it has these different V details, obviously for Veneta, hidden all across the shirt. I mean, wherever you look, you find a hidden secret little triangle or a secret little V, which I just love. I love that it is branded, but it definitely does not scream and shout the brand name. If you don't know what you're looking for, you'd never notice these details, but that's what I love about these particular Bottega pieces. So it is definitely something that I want to take more advantage of, and I would like to wear it more. The only reason why I haven't done it yet is because this color just washes me out. So I need to find a color to match this with. I'm thinking I could try it with black because I remember I wore this in a video of mine and it didn't make me look the best just because I'm so incredibly pale. It kind of washed me out, but I think wearing it with black might be the way to do it. I'm thinking about wearing this maybe with something like this, and I could throw this on as almost an over shirt instead of as a regular shirt. So that might be what I'm going to do with this, but stay tuned. It's definitely something that I am going to share with you in an upcoming reel because I love this shirt. I love the quality. I love the details. It's just a color that I'm struggling to make work with my complexion, which is just a personal issue. And the last piece of ready to wear is something that I talked about, I think, quite recently. It's a piece of Hermes ready to wear. In fact, it's the first piece of Hermes ready to wear that I seriously considered. I remember seeing this piece, to this day I remember seeing this piece walking down the runway and falling in love with it. I just thought it was the most beautiful thing, which might be surprising because there really isn't that much to it, but that's exactly why I love this piece. I remember going to the store to try it on and just loving it, but at the time it was a couple $1,000, I think, for this t-shirt, which to me is still a ridiculous amount of money to spend on a t-shirt, but especially back then I just couldn't justify buying a t-shirt that was that much. So I just said to myself, you know, have a think about it. If it's really something that you want, you can always go back and get it. Well, that was mistake number one, because by the time I went back to get it a couple of months later, they were all sold out and there was no way for me to get my hands on one. So I just kind of gave up on this dream of ever owning this t-shirt until I went to the Hermes sale a couple of years later. And believe it or not, they actually had a t-shirt there, except it wasn't in the colorway that I wanted it in and it wasn't in my size. And it's this high neck, super simple cotton t-shirt that has a single straight black line running down the middle, and then you have the same detail repeated on the sleeves. Now, I made a big mistake when I bought it, which was mistake number 2 in this story. The only size that they had this in was, I think, a double extra large, which was way too big for me. So this was sitting in my wardrobe for at least a couple of years until more recently I had it tailored, and unfortunately it didn't turn out quite how I imagined because they made the sleeves incredibly short. They almost look like the kind of sleeves that you'll find on a more fitted women's t-shirts. They made it a little bit too short, and because it had to be taken in so much, they kind of messed up the proportions of this shirt, so the middle line is no longer aligned. So long story short, It's not how I envisioned ever owning this t-shirt, but it's still something I can work with, except I won't be able to wear it on its own just because of the sleeves, and I don't think it could ever be fixed because they made the sleeves so short and they really didn't leave that much fabric in there. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. I definitely lost quite a bit with this, but at least I still have it. So I'm going to try to come up with a way of styling this in a way that is still flattering. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it yet. I assume I'm going to layer this underneath something, and I actually have an idea of what I might do. So if you'd like to see that, make sure you follow me on Instagram. But this is definitely something that I need to start wearing more often, because even in the sale, it was a lot more than how much anyone should spend on a single t-shirt. As much as I love fine jewelry, I'm not the kind of person who would stack different jewelry pieces. I will most often have one or maybe two pieces of fine jewelry on, which means that I'm not the best at taking advantage of the beautiful, beautiful jewelry pieces that I own, especially because I never keep any jewelry at home except the piece or the pieces that I wear on a regular basis. And I know it sounds horrible, but I actually forgot that I even own this piece, which is something that I've had for exactly 2 years now. It's something that I got for Christmas a couple of years ago, and it's a piece of Hermes jewelry. And I think this was my very first Hermes, well, my first and my last piece of Hermes necklace. It's something that I got for Christmas a couple of years ago. I wore it for a while, and then it ended up getting put away and I forgot about it until more recently when I went to pick up one of my bags, which we'll move on to in a second, and seeing it there reminded me of how much I love this piece, which you'll probably remember if you've been with me for a while. It is, oh, I actually put it on, sorry, I forgot about that. It might not look the best with this sweater, but it is this necklace from Hermes, which is their so-called finesse necklace, which I ended up getting in rose gold with their black spinel stones. It's something that comes in a few different colorways, so you can either buy it or you could buy it. I don't think they have this colorway still, but you could either buy it in rose gold with black spinels, you could do it in white gold with blue and pink sapphires. You had to choose which one you wanted, but it came both with pink sapphires and blue sapphires, and then it came in white gold with white diamonds or rose gold with white diamonds. So you did have a few different options. I don't think that this is something that they're actively doing still, but there must be a few of them floating around because I do see them still here and there. So if it's something that you love the idea of, you can definitely ask your local boutique about it. Or even better, you can even check out, I'll have them linked down below for you, but I've seen a ton of these on the Preloved market for a fraction of the price. So if you're looking for a last minute holiday gift for yourself, this is definitely something that I would highly recommend because it's such a beautiful, delicate, understated piece that obviously pays homage to Hermes's heritage of making pieces of jewelry, some of the most beautiful pieces of fine jewelry, without it being too obvious. And I love just how delicate it is. You can stack it or you can really easily wear it on its own. So if this is something that piques your interest, check out my info box or reach out to your advisor if you'd like to get it directly from Hermes. But fine jewelry, especially Hermes fine jewelry, is definitely something that you can save quite a bit of money on by buying it pre-loved. And you know, when it comes to a piece of fine jewelry, a piece that is made of solid gold, I mean, it's not going to tarnish, you know it's not going to fall apart. If you want to have it cleaned, just take it to your local jeweler and ask them to clean it for you. And then another piece that I do want to start wearing again, or I should say using again, is my Kelly pocket, which I think was one of the first pieces, at least in the history of my channel, that I couldn't stop talking about. This piece is the very reason that I am here today, because this was the very first piece of Hermes that I ever unboxed, and then I went on to doing a ton of reviews on it, and I know that so many of you bought it based on my recommendation or after seeing it, which I'm just so grateful for, and I hope that those of you who bought it still love and use this piece. And to this day, I love this piece. I stopped using it because I started carrying my mini bags more often, and even though it is quite a compact piece, it doesn't fit into most mini bags, and even if it does, it's kind of a tricky piece to get in and out of a smaller creation just because of the twist closure. But if you wear larger bags or bags that are a little bit softer, this is not going to be an issue. But I love this piece, and even though it is quite small, and I don't even know if I mentioned the name of this piece, this is the Kelly Pocket, which launched quite a few years ago at this point. I don't again think that this is actively in production still. You might be able to find a few of them floating around out there, or again, it's something that you can hunt down on the pre-loved market. If I find any in good condition, in nice colors, at decent prices, they will be linked down below for you, because it is just one of those pieces that is a piece of SLG, but to me it is so much more than that, just because of the different details, the way it's created, what it will add to an outfit or to an overall look. It is one of those pieces that you can do so much with. And if you love a compact wallet, something that is compact but packs a punch, because you can definitely fit a ton of cards in here. I think I counted and I was able to fit 8 to 10 cards in here comfortably, and you could still really easily scroll through them because of the way this piece opens up. So it opens up like this, which gives you a lot of access to all of your cards. You don't have to dump all your cards out if you're trying to pay, or when you're looking for a specific card, you can actually scroll through them in here. And then you also have a tiny little pocket on the back with a baby Kelly lock, which to me is just the cutest little detail. So I do love this piece. It is definitely one of the most beautiful pieces of SLGs that I have ever seen, and I'm really excited to slowly go back to using it, because I no longer reach for my mini bags that often. So I think it's something that I'm going to get plenty of use out of in the near future. And if you see this pop up online, or if you see this at your local boutique, if you find it on the pre-loved market, it's definitely something that still very much has my seal of approval for whatever that's worth. And last but not least, it might sound like a cardinal sin, but this is something that has been sitting in storage for a little while now. I know it's something that should be at the front and center of my collection, but I really haven't been reaching for smaller bags these days. I don't know what it is, but I just don't really think that they suit my style currently. That doesn't mean that I won't go back to using these bags or I will never use them again. But for some reason, I have been gravitating towards some of my larger bags. And the bag that I pulled out from storage more recently was my Mini Kelly, and my Mini Kelly in black Epsom in gold, because I do own a few different Mini Kellys, but this is my most favorite. This is the one that I will always go back to, and the one that I will reach for whenever I need a smaller bag in my life. To me, this is just the most perfect Mini Kelly bag, because the Mini Kelly is quite... Obviously, I do have several different reviews on the Mini Kelly, so if there's anything you want to know about these bags, I'll make sure to have them linked down below for you. I have an in-depth video on the Mini Kelly. I have videos comparing the Mini Kelly to the Mini Constance, to the Kelly Pochette, and so on. So if there's anything you want to know about this bag, the description box is going to be your best friend. But to me, this is the most perfect combination, getting a Mini Kelly in Epsom, because I just think this leather really suits the proportions, the shape, and the structure of this bag. And it's definitely something that I'm going to start taking advantage of, especially now that I have a longer strap to make it a little bit more comfortable crossbody. But I do think that in the winter, just when I'm a little bit more bundled up, I'm going to feel more comfortable carrying it as a handheld bag, which might be one of the reasons why I haven't really been reaching for this, just because most of the times that I'm out and about, and I'm out and about with my baby, and the last thing I need is for my hands to be occupied with something other than him. So it's something that I will go back to using. I'm actually going out for dinner tonight, so I might just take this back with me. And I also have to stick to my word. Now that I showed you guys all these pieces, I actually have to start enjoying and using them. And this bag to me is really just perfection. But for some reason, I have been just drawn to some of my larger bags, but it's going to be a fun challenge for me to style this in a way that I actually enjoy, because this bag, I mean, it is still perfection, but it is what it says on the tin. It is a mini bag, and I have been loving some of my larger bags, so I'm going to give it another try tonight, and I'll report back if I have fallen back in love with it or not. My friends, this is all the shopping that we had time for today. I hope you enjoyed coming along, and shopping my own collection. Please let me know in the comment section what are the pieces that you've been neglecting. Are there any pieces that you need to pay some more attention to? Let me know in the comment section. I cannot wait to hear your experience. And while you're down there, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I really appreciate you being here and watching, and I hope to see you back here with a new video really, really soon.